Yeah, I know it doesn't make any sense. Ophthalmology and comedy, they have no business going together. All right, somehow I've made it work. But one thing you have to understand here, ophthalmologists, we're not normal. Okay, you see, internal medicine doctors like yourselves, you got to the end of med school and couldn't really decide what you wanted to do. You liked everything. You wanted to take care of all the organ systems, everything in the body that you can't see. You guys wanted to be a part of that. To me, that sounds hard. You see, I got to the end of med school and decided I didn't want anything to do with 99% of the human body. I just wanted the eyeballs. Normal, well-adjusted people don't do that. So, not surprisingly, as weirdos who treat eyeballs for a living, we tend to have strange hobbies. Comedy, beekeeping, collecting burnt-out light bulbs, which may or may not have been a thing that I did as a kid. Despite my unconventional approach of combining comedy with eyeball stuff, I want to thank you all for inviting me to speak this evening. I hope you're all enjoying the 2021 Nephrology Business Leadership Conference, which is widely considered to be the best nephrology business leadership conference. Probably. I'll be honest, I don't know about any other nephrology business leadership conferences out there, so I'll just assume that this one's the best. Now, right off the bat here, I want to celebrate a couple of firsts that we're making tonight, okay? This is the first time in history that an ophthalmologist has ever spoken at a nephrology business leadership conference. Thank you. I assume that you're all clapping right now, maybe even standing and clapping, or what we would call a standing ovation. So thank you. I appreciate that so much. But this is also the first time many of you in the audience here have seen an ophthalmologist. It's very exciting, right? This is what we look like, huh? It's we're very normal appearing. Yeah, just that's it. Yeah, I wish there was more, but no, this is it. This is what an ophthalmologist looks like. Now, I'll be honest. As an ophthalmologist, I don't know a lot about the world of nephrology. Remember, I gave up body medicine years ago. I haven't thought about electrolytes since 2013. Can you guys imagine not thinking about sodium for 8 years? I mean, 24 hours is long enough for you guys, but 8 years? The thing is, our paths, nephrology, ophthalmology, they just don't cross very often, right? When you guys are not in clinic seeing patients, you're in the hospital seeing consults, right? When I'm not in the clinic seeing patients, I'm home, relaxing. But it's true, you don't see ophthalmologists in the hospital. Now, most people think this is because we don't want to come in to see any patients, that we don't want to help. That's not it at all. It really is just because the hospital scares us, okay? I'll admit it, it scares us. It's always open. The hospital, always open, even on the weekend. Holidays, after hours, nighttime, it's always open. And I've heard that some places in the hospital, people work through lunch. None of this makes sense to my ophthalmology brain. You have to understand that. Now, you guys probably don't know this, but inpatient consults, that's the number 2 fear among ophthalmologists. The number 2 fear. Number 1 fear, obviously, responding to in-flight medical emergencies. But inpatient consults are number 2, all right? We are terrified, all right? That doesn't mean we won't come in and help. We're just gonna need someone to guide us around the hospital so we don't get lost. See, even though we don't have a lot in common, you and I, even though we don't see each other very often, as a comedian, I spend a lot of time on social media. And because of that, I follow a lot of different people from a lot of different specialties, especially nephrology. So you would think that over the years, I would have learned a thing or two about your field, about renal physiology and pathophysiology and what a tubular acidosis is and why I should care about it. But no, the only thing I've learned from all of you is what you hate about your jobs. Because that's what social media is all about. It's not about free exchange of ideas or talking about the latest research and innovation. No, It's about complaining. All right, and there's plenty of that to go around. And so I have actually obtained a pretty decent snapshot about what it's like to work as a nephrologist. So I made a list. I made a list of the things that annoy all of you as nephrologists. I'm going to go through a few of these things, okay? Number one, and perhaps probably the most important one, is people that drink way too much water.
Let's order a serum osmolality on this patient. This could be pseudo-hyponatremia. Are you okay?
Yeah, why?
You seem thirsty. No, I'm just trying to drink more water. You're just drinking water because you want to? Yeah. Do your kidneys work? Excuse me? Do you have 2 functional kidneys? Yes. So why don't you trust them? I do. Yet you insult them by drinking water when you're not thirsty. No, Is homeostasis a joke to you? No, maybe you're right. Maybe your loops of Henle went on vacation. Maybe your collecting ducts are impervious to ADH. Let's ask another nephrologist. Hey, Tom.
Hey, what's up?
Our med student's drinking water even though he's not thirsty. Well, does he not trust his kidneys? No, I just thought. Oh, you just thought. Well, you know what's smarter than a brain? 2 million nephrons.
Now, rest assured, attendees of the 2021 Nephrology Business Leadership Conference, homeostasis will never be a joke to me. Okay, it's a little bit of a joke to me. I made a whole video about it being a joke to me. So it is a joke. But to other people that did not make the video that might be watching it, it will not be a joke to them, I suppose. The number 2 thing that annoys nephrologists, all right, obviously, cardiology.
Wait a second. Why is this patient getting dialysis? Yesterday she had 4 functional nephrons. Bill? I don't know, boss. Did something happen last night? Well, the nurse said she had a little bit of chest pain. What? Cardiology. Psst. Hey, what's going on? Nephrology and cardiology are arguing again. What about it? Oh, nephrology always thinks they can avoid dialysis even if the patient only has like 1% of a kidney left. Okay? And cardiology wants to treat the heart even if it means destroying every other organ in the process.
Now, the battle between cardiology and nephrology, that goes back decades. It predates all of us. It predates the battles between nephrology and critical care, or nephrology and radiology, or nephrology. You guys have a lot of arguments. You're pretty constantly just fighting with other specialties. And you know, it makes sense because I remember as a med student sitting in a morbidity and mortality conference or grand rounds, and I would listen intently on the edge of my seat as nephrology. It was always the nephrologist and the other smartest person in the hospital, the rheumatologist or the infectious disease specialist, just arguing, talking about things, going back and forth. It was riveting, which tells you just how exciting my 20s were. And so it doesn't surprise me that you guys have arguments. And most of the time, you win because you're smarter than everyone else. No one else understands any of that stuff. Anything about the fluid excess and bases and acid. You know what? I'm coming across quite dumb here, but most of the time you win. All right. Occasionally, though, you don't.
Wait a second. Who decreased the Lasix dose on this patient? Thomas, was it you? No way, boss. It wasn't me. Who would do that? The patient's in heart failure. Nephrology. Psst. Hey. Who's that guy in the glasses? Oh, that's the nephrologist. You know how cardiologists think they're the smartest people in the hospital? Well, that's actually the smartest person in the hospital.
just want to say most of the time it is cardiology's fault, but sometimes you guys are the troublemakers. All right, let's be honest. And then there's a handful of other things that I've learned from you guys on Twitter about what annoys you. Bicarb, ordering an amp of bicarb. Apparently that's not really useful for anybody. Whenever you hear about somebody who is taking NSAIDs, you're supposed to make this face. Or that's what you're supposed to do, to express your displeasure. Also, renal dose dopamine. I guess that's not a thing, and people were making fun of me on Twitter when I talked about it because it hasn't been used in 20 years. So the thing is, though, that's important to know is that I shouldn't know these things. I'm a private practice ophthalmologist. It actually makes me angry that these things that are associated with your specialty have infiltrated my brain. All right, but even though I don't need to know them, you do. And I'm glad you do, because we need intelligent, hardworking, very capable nephrologists like yourselves taking care of all the very difficult clinical problems that patients have related to the kidney and everything else below the neck. And finally, I just want to say how impressed I am by all of you. I know a lot of you that are going to be listening to this are fellows, and I can't imagine how difficult it's been over the last 18 months. Residency, fellowship, training, this is, it's hard enough by itself. And then you go and add a pandemic on top of it. I can't imagine the stress, the anxiety, while you're trying to learn your field, but also trying to keep your patients from getting sick, from dying, and also trying to keep yourselves from getting sick, and not knowing when you're going to get a vaccine, and if you have the protective equipment you need. And it's just, and so I am so impressed and thankful for you all for taking on that challenge and rising to it and excelling. And you're all going to be fantastic doctors. You're going to finish fellowship, and you're going to go out on your job doing whatever it is that nephrologists do, okay? And the last thing I want to say is just thank you for being the ones in the hospital taking care of these patients during the pandemic. And I say that somewhat selfishly because if it's not you and your other hospital-based colleagues, it might be me. And nobody wants to see an ophthalmologist in the hospital. Okay? So thank you so much for all you do in medicine. Good luck with your future careers. Thank you for inviting me to speak. This was a lot of fun. Enjoy the conference. I wish you all the best. Take care.